Rabash, Article 15, a prayer of many. When din is present in the world, this means the will to receive, which is self-love. The created beings are controlled by this nature due to his will to do good to his creations. And because there was a desire for equivalence of form, so that there would not be the bread of shame, a judgment, din, was passed that it is forbidden to use the vessel of reception, except when one knows that he can aim for the reception to be in order to bestow. Then one is permitted to use the vessel of reception. Let's read that again. When din is present in the world, it refers to the will to receive, which is self-love. This is the nature in which the created beings were born in, due to his desire to do good to his creations. And because there was a desire for equivalence of form, so that there would not be the bread of shame, a judgment, din, was passed that it is forbidden to use the vessel of reception, except when one knows that he can aim for the reception to be in order to bestow. Then one is permitted to use the vessel of reception.
Chile, please speak.
Buenos días, queridos amigos. Están de turno hoy día con
nosotros. Dear friends, today on duty with us are 10 number 18 from Petah Tikva, 10 number 1 from Haifa, 10 number 1 from Italy, Ukraine, Zaporizhia, and Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. First question for workshop. How do we discover the force of connection in the 10? Again, how do we discover the force of connection in the 10?
Well, the force of connection in the 10 we receive, we discover through effort and the need to find it.
The effort, the necessity to reach that should be expressed externally. We need to show it to the friends how much you want to, even if you don't want to. And out of that, you will get it back to you.
The force of connection is the power of the 10, which the Creator establishes. That's how He establishes the whole of reality in all of the groups of the Kabbalists in 10s. And our role is to invite the Creator. And as soon as we invite Him into the connection between us, we'll discover the 10 as it truly is.
How do we discover the force of connection in the 10? Well, for that I have dear friends like you. As much as we together try to connect between us, we discover how much this force is working in the right direction.
And the right direction is the direction of our unity. So if we want to know what the direction is, we need to strive towards unity, connection between us, to aspire to that. And only by needing that, we can reach the right spot, the right place.
In the end, everything is revealed through a request. Whatever we ask of the Creator, if it will be aimed in the direction of connection, that's what we're going to get.
It's also to discover what already exists. The 10 is already connected at the end of correction, and we only need to open our eyes towards one another to help ourselves to come to that request And then when we have the lack, we can finally see that connection.
We need to make artificial efforts for connection between us, to constantly search for what is tying us into one. And in these efforts, we will discover that we have nothing that ties between us. The only thing that ties between us is the upper force. We need to attach to it. We need for it to attach us, to tie us. So through efforts for connection, we discover the need for the Creator, who is the force of connection between us.
To make one of the 10, and then to try to make one of the world Kli, and then to try to make the world into one. Yes, and this we can do right now, here and now, in the workshop, between us, to ask for that one, and from within it, in the workshop. Yes, and the request is not just in words, it's out of a desire that is shared by all of us. Each one gives his part, and the desire is shared, is common. It's strong, it's stable, and it is actually the prayer.
We have to constantly try to depict this state, to think, to activate our muscles and imagine what is that connection. What are these Kabbalists writing about?
And to start to recognize the fact that where I see a lack of connection in the 10, that those are the places that I need to correct within myself, the places which the Creator directs me towards in order to pray over and to invite Him as the filling.
To support each other, because in a moment I will not have the strength to start asking, thinking, asking. No, I'll simply sink into myself, and this could be this whole lesson, this whole day, my whole life. But if we think about each other and ask for this force between us, it will shine for us, and it will give each one the force that he needs to be able to support their friends.
The power of the one is discovered in the unity, where the many behave as if governed by one flow, one network, one mind. Let's think of, fish, a shoal of fish. It can be made of thousands, but they move like one whole. So let's try to feel how during the lesson our intentions are like that. The inclinations of our points in the heart moving together, dissolving into or melding into one thing by the power inherent in the lesson, in the words of the love, the words of the Kabbalists, which we read, which sort of forge us, make us into one flame.
Yes, and we will discover this force only if we ask for it. If we ask for it now, between us, ask for it constantly, each and every moment.
Second question. How do we pass the light onto the rest of the world? How do we pass the light on to the rest of the world? Quiet, silent workshop.
חילצת נפשי, אוי נפשי מן מוות, חילצת נפשי, אוי נפשי מן מוות, עדני, עדני, עיני מן דמעה,
Good morning, friends. We remind you that using cell phones during the lesson is strictly prohibited, except for people on duty who receive the personal approval. Anyone asking a question is asked to stand up, hold the microphone close to his mouth, and speak clearly. In the first part of the lesson, we will read from an excerpt of sources on the topic of the Holocaust Memorial Day. Let's continue with a silent preparation for the lesson. Hello, we are in a lesson on the subject of the Holocaust Memorial Day. You can watch our lesson on the website. You can also ask questions on kab.tv, and they will be asked, and selected questions will be asked during the lesson. A lesson on the topic of the Holocaust Memorial Day.
Yes. They've decided that there has to be this Memorial Day, especially, although I don't think it needs to be such a Memorial Day, but rather a general recognition of the whole process that we go through throughout history. The purpose of creation is to do good to his creatures, so that they attain adhesion with the Creator. And adhesion with the Creator is attained by equivalence of form with Him. His form is the will to bestow, and we need to acquire that form, so to always also have the intention to bestow, which is the will to bestow as far as we're concerned. And that is actually our work, the work of all created beings. Meaning people. human beings. But so that human beings, the will to receive which the Creator has created, so that they will have the ability to come to equivalence of form with Him, and for them to have free choice and the ability to correct themselves and to become independent and in complete equivalence of form with Him, there need to be a few conditions. And therefore, we have, as we learn, from Malchut then Sof, we have this expansion through to this world, through the 5 worlds, and later on the creation of the soul, Adam HaRishon, as we call it, and the shattering of the soul. And by that soul breaking, shattering, and the light that filled it remained in every single particle of it as a spark, we have a great many shattered desires, meaning that they're not connected to one another. And in each one there is a spark. And now we need the created beings with these sparks, which each and every one has, to come to correction, to resemble the Creator. And the situation, the state is the correct state, that if from it we come to equivalence of form with the Creator, resembling Him, then we are truly resembling Him and equal to Him. We come to an actual equivalence of form, to the same degree as the Creator. And therefore the upper light begins to illuminate upon these shattered souls, which are opposite to one another, disconnected from one another. And when it illuminates upon all of them equally. As it is written, that the upper light illuminates equally. The Creator treats all created beings equally. But because all created beings are different, according to their degree of aviyut, of coarseness, then accordingly the spark in them awakens in them to a lesser or greater degree, each one to a different degree and even in a different style and in a different form. Those in whom the spark awakens quickly and they feel this draw to the Creator, they are called Yashar El. And those in whom the spark does not awaken, it does not awaken them, they are called the nations of the world. And in general, the soul of Adam Rishon, after the shattering, can be categorized or divided into 2 halves. One, or 2 parts rather. One part which awakens if there is some opportunity, some awakening, some upper light which illuminates upon them, the general upper light, then they awaken and they are called Israel. That is what Avraham did. This was the action of Avraham, who caused through him an illumination to all of humanity who was back then in Bavel. He caused the light to shine upon them. He was as a passageway. And part of those vessels, human beings, awakened and followed him. And some did not. And the part who did, he called them Israel. And he began to work with them on connection. Why connection? Because the action that is required of human beings is that that part which awakens needs to act like Avraham, to make of itself a conduit through which the upper light will affect through that conduit, meaning through them, through these people, will bestow to those people who cannot awaken of their own. And therefore this nation which Avraham established is as a conduit, a passage through which the upper light can come near those shattered souls, those individual shattered souls which cannot awaken as those who did awaken through Avraham. And that is what we can see, that the people of Israel, as it is written, is obligated to be this passageway, to bring the upper light to the nations of the world, meaning to be a light unto the nations. And that is the entire process which humanity undergoes. And there is nothing else besides. We don't need to achieve any kind of excellence in culture, technology, anything. Everything, all of it, is just the role of the people of Israel to bring this example, provide this example and the power to connect through them, between them, for the connection of the whole world, all the people of the world, to bring everyone again into unity, to unite as the soul of Adam Rishon prior to the shattering. And we've also read and learned, studied here and there about the people of Israel who, although it came to its own end of correction, it could not maintain it and began to descend from that connection, from being as one, at the ruin of the first temple, and especially at the ruin of the second temple. And that's it. By that, it corrected a part of it, its role, meaning it did come into connection or contact with the Creator, and then it went out to the exile, the shattering, in order to integrate with all those parts called the nations of the world, and then to arise from their midst, from that integration with them, to arise and to build a connection between them, between Israel, between the people of Israel, for there to be a connection so that again they become a conduit, and to connect to the Creator on one hand, on one side rather, and with that connection to the nations of the world on the other end, and so to be a conduit between the Creator and humanity. And there are other stages, as it is written, the nations of the world themselves carry the people of Israel on their shoulders to Jerusalem to perform these corrections, meaning there's a very substantial part here in the correction which the nations need to perform and a part which Israel need to perform, until it comes to the whole correction. We'll start reading and see what the greatest of the nation, of the people, tell us. But still, we mustn't forget that, all in all, of course, from the moment that the group of Avraham received the means for connecting with the Creator, which is called Torah, from the giving of the Torah onwards, from then on, that group has a duty to be the passageway between the Creator and the whole of humanity, all of the creations. And each and every moment where that group does not function as a passage, it feels, as a result of its malfunction, hatred from all of the nations of the world. A claim that you're stealing something from the world, you're not providing something to the world, you're not okay, all in all. And it's true. That sensation, that feeling exists instinctively within all of the nations of the world. In the part which is more developed, it is more prominent. In the part which is less developed, less so. And in accordance to how the nations of the world themselves are awakening to the correction. Yes, because there's from above downward, there's an entire structure which needs to be corrected. So Gal, that Keter Choma Binah of that soul, of that structure, belongs to Yeshar El, Israel, or Li Rosh, meaning a head onto me, or my head. And the other part of the soul, which is the Guf, that's the nations of the world, the lower seven sfirot of the Partzuf, Netzach, Gvura, Tiferet, Hod, Yesod. And therefore, we must understand that the claim of the nations of the world, the claim that they have towards Israel, is a just claim. It's the instinctive claim. Until they receive the feeling from the Creator through us, and so they can be connected to the upper force and to fulfill their own role also in order to bestow. But the difference is that we can connect in circles, into circles, and to try to resemble the Creator in each and every circle, and to examine how well are we connected or how are we disconnected, and all this in order to direct us towards adapting ourselves to the Creator until the Creator is revealed between us. We seek that connection. We look for it and look for it in the 10 to be as one. And what is the sign that we're as one? That we are enclosed together, and then the Creator appears in our midst. And this is called Ibur, conception. And more we search and seek a connection on a higher degree, and up again we've come to a connection. And that is, let's say, Yenika, suckling, and Mochin. That's how we advance. Each time we search for a connection which is more precise. And by that, we resemble the Creator, because He is one and we are as one. So the nations of the world do not have the capability to perform such exercises because they don't have a spark. The spark does not awaken in them. A spark exists in each and every one, but that spark does not awaken in them, and therefore they cannot be directed by the surrounding light which reforms, and there is no benefit from connecting intents if it's not done through us, and so on. We'll learn how to work with them. But we can connect together amongst ourselves to find this point of contact with the Creator, and then to make of ourselves a passageway for the upper light between the Creator and the created beings. So all this anti-Semitism, which we note on this day, it all stems from the lack of function in the people of Israel. And we must understand this. There is a lot to study, to learn here, and even more to feel, till we feel ourselves as responsible. And instead of either crying or shouting about it never happening again, we must understand that we cannot cry out and say such things ever, never again. That simply cannot be. But only if we do what we need to do. By that, we ourselves make sure it never happens. And therefore our approach on Holocaust Memorial Day, it's not to sit and cry over those whom we lost, and not about what we're doing now, meaning we're also right now at risk for such a Holocaust repeating, but rather we stand together in order to solve this problem where it is, meaning in the depths of nature, according to the rules of nature and according to our Leshimot and according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, which explains to us how to do this, how to perform this. So let's begin to read, or perhaps there are questions over what I've said thus far. Zvika, of course, is the first.
Look, I grew up to parents who came out of the Holocaust. So I'm listening to you. As a student of Kabbalah, I can understand it.
I'm the same as you. I know this.
I know. I've been with you for years, but still, my parents, they didn't study Kabbalah. How can I explain this to my parents? They don't know what it's about.
Yes.
Why do you think that they deserve what they went through? 6 million Jews who have no clue about Kabbalah. We hardly have an idea. It's not clear to me, this whole thing.
Show me the rules. Show me rules which are more straightforward. Meaning, one person kills another. Right? What? Should you not do anything to him? Not give him an opportunity to learn from what he did? I'm asking.
Oh, that's okay, but this is so extreme.
What do you mean extreme?
How can you compare? I don't know. You look at it and you can't believe it.
Right, I'll tell you. You're correct. You're right. From the pain in your heart, I feel that. But apparently, the upper system of laws it's not that someone decides. The Creator is a system. The power of bestowal and the power of reception, good and evil, we say this to ourselves, good and evil, because we are feeling beings. But it's not good or evil, it's two forces, reception and giving, bestowal, and they need to come together. And according to this process in which they need to come together and unite, according to a very simple formula regarding how to come to equivalence of form, in that way they work. And from the connection or lack of connection, in accordance with the time which is given for this development, they form such states between them from that general matter which is called the general will to receive. Well, that matter changes and develops. Don't go into all these scrutinies with your emotions, emotionally. It's forbidden. Then you just mess things up. A judge has only what his eyes can see, not his heart, his eyes. So that's what I recommend. That's what I would recommend.
So if you now say, let's say, my father saw that I was studying Kabbalah, and he's not religious, but he said, okay, if you study, I told him, if you study Kabbalah, you start understanding. He says, me? How is that even related? He says,
all these claims.
No, 99% of those who got the blows, they have no clue. That's what I can't understand. I have no idea.
Wait a minute. We're not talking about the simple person on the street. We're talking about the general system. And of course, there's no cause to punish a person who doesn't know anything, as you say. But there were people, and there are people right now who know and do not want to do what needs to be done. And to them, there is a claim. You're asking, why are both these and those punished? We'll see. We'll see gradually why this is so in nature. The Creator treats each and every person, even babies, even little children, as if they have free choice. They can decide on things, because to Him there's no division between people. It's just one body which must perform its role. The little ones, the big ones, women, children, the elderly, regardless of whom, they all are taken all as one account. And I'm not going to...
Bala Sulam, who saw what he saw this black cloud above Europe. What did he even see so that he could come and say what he said? It's not clear to me yet. What is it? Anger, they hated each other. What was there that he saw such a dark cloud over Europe?
This is the accumulation over many, many years. For 2,000 of years, the Jews tried to evade. Not 2,000, but let's say 2,000. They tried to evade their role. Their role is to be a light unto the nations, to convey, to relate, to be a passageway, as Baal Sulam writes in the giving of the Torah, to relay that upper light to that part of humanity which is incapable, according to the plan of creation, incapable on its own, because they're the body, the guf of the Parzuf, and not the Rosh, not the head. They're incapable of supplying, providing the upper light to themselves, and in them the Creator, the revelation of the Creator needs to take place. Israel are called Li Rosh, the head. That part relays the light to the guf, to the body. But where is there true contact, true adhesion between the Creator and the created being? Especially and specifically in the guf. There it is felt, and there it needs to take place. So if we don't perform our duty, we ourselves bring about a state in which we don't have any place. There's no place for us. Those people, those reshimot, either you need to add lots of trouble and suffering to them, and then they'll function differently. To add dinim, judgments, what is called the left line, and then they'll need the right line, they'll draw the reforming light, or they'll perform correctly. One of the two. The system, there is no one deciding in it, even though it speaks in the language of people. So supposedly the Creator decides this or that, and with His great mercy He did this or that, and then He sits and then cries. All these stories. It's good, but truly it is as the wisdom of Kabbalah says. You have prinot, discernments, you have degrees, you have zivug daka, all those functions, and work with that, not with your emotions. And so, back then, as today we're actually in a worse state. Or if some of the nations of the world supported us in establishing the nation of Israel because there was a chance to correct the world back then. Today, there's no one to support you. The Creator just... you'll see. You light up the torch on Independence Day. Nobody comes from the whole world. Nobody. Even Zimbabwe doesn't want to come to send a representative.
He cancelled his arrival from Honduras, yeah.
From Honduras, yes, so you see. It's being shown to you how you're completely not functioning. They don't feel any need for you. They feel that you're a harmful part to the whole world.
You're saying that the situation is even worse now in Israel, right? Situation is even worse. Back then, there was still a possibility for Kabbalists at that time with Baal Sulam. Similarly, today there's no one other than us in terms of masses. Here and there, you see something, but... So, how do you see that a correction will occur so that we don't reach a second Holocaust?
I don't want to talk about the future, whether it will be or not be. Today.
Today, I'm asking about today.
Today we need to act. That's it. I don't see any catastrophes. I'm saying that today we need to act. That's it. What does it mean to act? To connect together amongst ourselves in order to make ourselves a conduit, meaning by ourselves. There will be a circle, and towards the rest of the world will be as a conduit. And that's our role. That's it. Let's study. First excerpt by Baal Sulam, the Arvut, item 20. But the end of the correction of the world will only be by bringing all the people in the world under His work, as it is written, and the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall the Lord be one and His name one. And the text specifies on that day and not before.
Yes, that after we finish all of our work, we will discover our adhesion with the Creator, which is called the Lord is one, and His name is one. His name is the Kli, that's us, and the light, that's the Lord. That way we'll connect together the will to bestow from the side of the upper one, and the will to receive in order to bestow from the side of the lower one. That's the end of correction that should be. And by the lower one, they mean everything that exists, the still, vegetative, animate, and speaking, in anything that we can imagine to ourselves, and furthermore, everything we'll discover in all of the worlds. The whole of creation must be as one circle. Next.
Item 2 from Likutei Halachot. There is a medium between the world as a whole and the Creator, and it is the Israeli soul, whose root is very high and is truly a part of God. It is the medium that connects the whole world with the Creator, and through it, abundance, vitality, and sustenance extend to the entire world. For this reason, everything depends on Israel.
Where does that come from?
From Likutei Halachot, blessing for fragrance and a blessing for thanksgiving. Rule number 4.
That's it. So we are the medium, or the median point between the Creator and all of the created beings. This is our role, this is our place. There's no way to run to, and we just have to carry out our role and learn what it is. We will have hatred from above, from the Creator, if we don't do it. We will have hatred from below, from the nations of the world, if we don't do it. And we have seen it before, and there's nothing to do here. We are in the system of nature. It's a system of laws. We cannot run away from it. We cannot forget about it. And we need to stop playing and acting as though we don't understand what is going on. We have to simply be aware of it, and then we will keep ourselves. Otherwise, there would be no choice, and nothing will help us. As it says, He pass a law and it shall not be broken. Dudi, you wanted to ask something before.
I wanted to ask, how is the hatred from the nations of the world is different from the regular blows which a person gets, which obligate him to perform his role?
I can't say each and every blow that we experience, and whatever some small animal that cannot provide itself with its sustenance, it doesn't matter who it is and what it is, if we still see that someone to some extent is suffering, it is a result of lack of light in the kelim, in the vessels. There is nothing else. All there is light and kli. So, whose fault is it? Ours. You can say that. And if we will be able to correct it on our level, of course, in all the other degrees, gradually it will become corrected.
So it doesn't matter if it comes from the nations of the world or from the friends or from some other place?
Well, what comes?
Hatred.
No, there are many sources similarly by which to press a person, a group, the nation, the world. There are many sources, but they all come from one source, which is a lack of balance between the kli and the light in each and every state.
So through to the end of the correction of the world, every degree has its own anti-Semitism?
Yes, of course. The lack of match between the ability to actualize our role and the actualization, the realization of the role, that lack of match becomes manifested as evil, as suffering. And those sufferings that work on the special part called Israel, on the special part of the Parzuf, these kind of suffering are called anti-Semitism. But again, all of those things, we have to realize them. We establish them. It is a result of our malfunction, both in terms of the kind of the anti-Semitism and the intensity of the anti-Semitism. We are actually the ones who determine it. We actually generate it with our own hands, because we include two disturbance: the will to receive and the spark, which is the will to bestow. And in between the two of them, we have free choice. That's the middle third of Tiferet. Above Tiferet are the vessels of bestowal. Below Tiferet are the vessels of reception. In the middle of Tiferet is this neutral place. And that exists only in a structure that is called Israel. Therefore, we have free choice. And therefore, the calculation is done with us. The nations of the world, they cannot have choice because they don't have a spark that works. This is why they are called the nations of the world, right? And therefore the calculation is done only with us. We are the ones who are responsible. You cannot demand of anyone other than those who have both the desire and the spark that they will arrange the desire against the spark and make of themselves a structure called a soul, a ten, and then they will reach contact with the Creator. The 10 has to be arranged in such a way that all of them, all 10, let's say, reach connection, such that they're all equal and they're all connected. And the moment that they achieve that, then the Creator is revealed between them. That's it. And then they become a pipeline.
And then there's no anti-Semitism.
Then there's no anti-Semitism because they kept their role.
And then anti-Semitism on a greater degree is revealed?
No, an opportunity to continue by themselves is revealed. Why anti-Semitism? Anti-Semitism is revealed when you get all the possibilities and you seemingly disregard them. So anti-Semitism is those same forces that you should have corrected but did not correct. They are revealed towards you in an uncorrected form, which is hatred. Turn it into love, so that love covers all crimes. Astana.
Здравствуйте, Раф, здравствуйте. Всем мировой Кли.
Hello,
Как
Al.
вас слышно?
Hello, World Kli. Can you hear us okay?
Раф, такой вопрос. Вот мы говорим про катастрофу.
We're talking about the Holocaust.
Но вот я и окружающие меня товарищи вот вокруг меня не переживали вот ту катастрофу.
Me and the friends here around me have not experienced that same catastrophe which the friend talked about. He talked about the anti-Semitism, his extreme experience from his family, and there's this point of yearning for the goal, and we just want to connect. It's as if some feeling is lacking from where you go through something like that. Is that good or bad? From where can we take that point which can connect us to it, push us towards it?
I'll tell you one thing only. I will tell you one thing only. Even though a half of that small nation, the people of Israel, well, not a half, but maybe a third, perished, disappeared, were killed, were burned in this Holocaust. Nowadays, other than those families that still exist in which there are those who went through the Holocaust, others don't even remember. If you tell the Israelis today that, they can come to Germany, 90% of the nation will move there. They don't remember anything. Therefore, you shouldn't regret the fact that you don't have that feeling, that you don't feel the hatred and the anti-Semitism. They also don't feel it. They also do not feel it. It is hard for us to imagine that thing, how much these blows that Jews in this world go through in terms of hatred, how much these blows are not felt in them, truly. I'll tell you why. Because these blows are actually aimed against the inner part, the spiritual part in them that does not rise. And therefore, well, what can you do? You get used to it. You run away a little bit, you conceal things a little bit, you do something else. But it's not that this obligates them to change. Therefore, there is no difference between those who went through the Holocaust and those who did not, those who are aware of it, they know it, and those who don't. In Israel, you have many people who are here, especially from the Sephardi Jews, from Africa and Asia, who never felt that in the same way as those who came out of the Holocaust or out of Europe. So it's not felt the way that the reason they denote the Memorial Day, the Holocaust Memorial Day, most of it is done artificially. It's politicians and psychologists and sociologists who make a living out of it. But it's not that there is some feeling of the trauma of the national feeling of pain. No. And again, I'm saying, if it was in every other nation that it would be against their will to receive, it would have been felt a lot more. And over hundreds of years, they would still remember it. But because it is aimed against our malfunction in our will to bestow, it flies, it disappears, and nowadays we don't even feel that there's anything to it. We need to just understand this phenomenon, which is very special. So nowadays there's no fear and no taking into account of the Holocaust. It's a wonder that if somebody would see from the side what happened and what is happening today, he would not understand. How come? So much so you don't take into consideration such problems and troubles. And even more than that, when nowadays anti-Semitism is rising and is warning us that again we can reach such things, and we have enough evidence for it from our neighbors and all of the anti-Semitism, all the organizations that rise all over the world, more and more from one day to the next. They're also not impressed by it. Just like the Jews in Poland or in Germany were not impressed before the Second World War started. They were not impressed. Okay, everything will fall into place. It will work out. So today's situation, I don't think it's a lot better than the situation we had back then. We think that we have an army and we can do things. We can't do anything. We're kind of imprisoned. The nations of the world won't let us fight. We think we can do whatever they want. But if they pressure us, that's it. We're like cancelled and nothing will help us. But nevertheless, you see that the nation of Israel, the people of Israel, cannot wake up. Why? Because the awakening has to be not through the suffering. The suffering can only be a side factor. The awakening has to come from the recognition of our role. That we must reach connection between us in order to extend the Creator, the upper light from above to all of the created beings. Not to run away from the blows, but to reach the revelation of the Creator to all of the created beings. And this is what we have to work for. So, it's not the work of the people of Israel, and it's not the work of the Jews or of the whole world. This is our work. So, as quickly as possible, we must become a pipeline. Well, gradually, it doesn't matter for whom, for what, so long as we will be connected by ourselves with the Creator, with the intention to pass on the light to the whole world. Let's continue.
Item 3 from Siach Yitzchak, Part 2, Assortments 1. Creation and choice, and the correction and the corruption of the world are all dependent upon Israel.
Well, that should be clear, because we include the will to receive together with the spark. Therefore, from the two of them, we can compose that system of the passageway, so everything depends on us. On us, it means on those people who have those possibilities. It doesn't matter who and where. If that person is now, as we see, Santiago, Tbilisi, Riga, Bulgaria, all kinds of places, right? Rather, what is important is that in each and every one, there are two parts of creation, the will to receive and the spark. And from the two of them, the will to receive and the spark, we can compose the system, the will to receive, and the spark will be Masach and Or Choser and a Partzuf, which is connected with all of the others. And in that way, we become a pipeline of light. That's what we have to think about. Next.
Item 4 from Bash. He whose heart is hardened. All the hatred that the nations feel towards Israel exists only because they are the Creator's people. As our sages said, what is Mount Sinai? It is that Sin'ah, hatred, came down to the idol worshippers.
Because who received the Torah back then? The one whose heart was a concern. The point it was felt in its actions drew the person to correction. As now, in each one of our friends of the worldwide neighborhood, they all now exist in a state of the reception of the Torah, right? And it's not around the mountain, in the desert. We have to understand all of this according to the language of the branches. And we are also in that state today. If we reach Arvut, that we want to keep the Arvut, we want to be connected, then we will receive the reforming light. When? Well, let's begin to connect and reach a state where we will cry out, we will want it. That we must be connected together in one circle. And then, just like one who is holding a sack on his back and he cries out for help, if in such a way we will want to connect between us, but will not succeed. And of course we will not succeed, but we won't let go of it, and we will want it more and more, and we will cry out to the Creator. He will connect us together equally according to the laws of the general bestowal, and He will be revealed within this Kli. This way we will enter the first Ibur, the first degree. Yes, Santiago.
Hola, Rab. Tenemos tres preguntas.
Hello, Rav. We have 3 questions.
The
first one. What is the spiritual root of anti-Semitism? What is the spiritual root of anti-Semitism?
The spiritual root of anti-Semitism is the malfunctioning or the incorrect functioning of the kelim, the vessels, that must reach connection and zivug de haka'ah, coupling through striking with the upper light. So, when a lack is revealed in these uncorrected kelim, not in the part that has to work as Rosh, but in the part that has to act as the Guf. And this lack that rises from the Guf of the Partzuf, that must already receive from the Rosh the inner light, but does not receive it. So this lack rises to the Rosh. It is felt in the Rosh as anti-Semitism. Is this form clear? It's not clear? The Rosh, the head, are those people who have the ability to be connected together and to connect with the Creator. This is all of Bnei Baruch who are all over the world, without any race or without any differences between each and every one. The Guf, body, are those people who do not have the ability to connect and to receive directly from the Creator that fulfillment. They feel that they depend on those who are called Jews, because they feel that in them there is something that they are not giving us. They're stealing it from us. They're manipulating the world. They're kind of orchestrating something. So they hate us. But the way it happens in the Parzuf is that those lacks that the Rosh is not yet, those lacks that are in the Guf, and the Rosh did not fill them up according to the place, the degree, the time, those deficiencies rise from the Guf to the Rosh, then the Rosh suffers because of them, and they are called anti-Semitism. Pressure from the Guf over the Rosh. Very simple, from the nations of the world over Israel. Okay? Yes, Mushi, what?
If it's all laws,
Yes, everything is.
today there are thousands of people who are trying to connect and have been doing it for dozens of years. Why are we not seeing any signs? If it's a law, if people connect, then you should see good signs.
Who is connecting?
Thousands of people in Israel and all over the world who are making efforts to connect.
In what?
To connect around this goal, to achieve adhesion, to follow this rule, to invite the good power.
Are you talking about our framework or in general?
Yes, us, and also tens of thousands of people.
In our framework, we are beginning now to work on connection in a practical way. Yes.
So, according to the law of nature, when people connect, there should be good signs. And if we look at the world, there is no good sign.
You haven't connected yet. You're not passing the light to the entire world. Why do you expect to see results already?
So, this inclination is not enough. You need to actually...
Of course, these are kelim. And these are the nice, good intentions, and intentions are only in the vessels of bestowal. We have to perform actions in practice.
If we do this in practice, we will see. Will someone see it? Will others see?
Well, we will see it. Other people might see it as easier, nicer, better, nicer climate, fewer diseases, fewer conflicts, etc.
So there will be good phenomena, positive.
Yes, obviously.
And are 10 people enough? Or do you need a quantity?
For the duty? Yes.
Yes, to be a passageway.
Yes. It's very difficult. Well, we don't need to think about do we need many tens or 1 10. The Creator takes care of that. The upper light arranges that. We all have to connect in tens as much as possible.
So if it's so crucial that these tents will be as a passageway, why should we invest our power in the whole world?
What do you mean in the whole world?
You're caring about everyone there. Let's care for just...
Well, Baal Sulam writes about it.
Well, I understand it is so. But if you say 10 are more important, let's invest in the 10.
That's where it all ends. And who will you pass it on to? You need also to receive deficiencies from them. They also, to some extent, have to be dependent on you. And you have to be integrated with all kinds of circles, those that are far away, those that are closer, so that they will all be mixed. We have to be mixed with everyone. You cannot bring the Creator your own deficiency. What for? What do you need something from me? What for, he asks. You have to say, I need a reforming light. What do you mean it's reforming, making it better? In order to be a pipeline for others and bring you contentment by that, to bring the very last person in the world to you. Then you will get it.
So if I understand correctly, if now there were 10 people who were a conduit, I don't have who to bring, because these people
They cannot be a passageway if they're not included with the deficiency of those that they want to pass it to.
So it follows that these 10 are dependent on the whole world.
Well, not on the whole world, but on the deficiency of the whole world, yes. This is why it says do not stay away from the public. There are things to it. It's a system. What can you do about it?
Santiago.
¿Qué diferencia espiritual existe?
What is the spiritual difference between racism and anti-Semitism?
I don't know. We're not going to get into all of these things. I don't care about that today. I need to know what I am supposed to do in order to reach the correction of the world. And all of these nuances that you call it this way or you call it that way, that does not matter to me. I'm asking you, please don't confuse us. We need to follow a certain line of the lesson. Please.
Item 5 from Sfat Emet, Shmot, the portion of Yitro. The children of Israel became responsible for the correction of the entire world by the power of the Torah. Everything depends on the children of Israel. As they correct themselves, so are all creations drawn after them.
Well, again, the people of Israel are called those who are aimed yashar kel, straight towards the Creator. Only them. And it doesn't matter where they're from which nation. The Jews are not, it's not a nationality. Anyone who is aimed towards the attainment of the Creator belongs to that Rosh of the Parzuf. Next.
Item 6, Baal Sulam, the writings of the last generation. It is a fact that Israel is hated by all the nations, whether for religion, racial differences, capitalism, communism, or for cosmopolitan reasons, etc. It is so because the hatred precedes all other reasons, but each one merely resolves his loathing according to his own psychology.
This is why I didn't want to answer these questions about racism versus anti-Semitism. And here also, it doesn't matter. What's important for us, as he writes, is that hatred is what is essential here. We do not provide the kelim that cannot provide themselves with a connection with the Creator. By that, we cause hatred towards us. Period. There's no other reason. As he says, it's not because of capitalism or socialism or any of these. You can be all beautiful and nice on the corporeal domain. You can cry out to everyone, look how good I am. You can cry out that out to the whole world. But you are not functioning as a pipeline, passing the fulfillment for the soul. Therefore, you have no right of existence. It is so much so. And the truth is that it all comes down from above. It's not that the nations of the world receive out of their frustrations, they receive certain decisions. There are no decisions. It all comes from above, and it is all managed precisely by the hand of the Lord. So we have to understand he passed a law that cannot be breached. If we do it, it will be good. If we don't do it, it will be bad. That's it. Yes?
Item 7, Henry Ford, the international Jew, the world's foremost problem. The Jews are a race that has preserved itself in virility and power by the observance of those natural laws, the violation of which has mongrelized so many nations.
אתם שומעים מה שהוא כותב? עד כמה שהוא מבין את זה.
You hear what he's writing? How much he understands it. He understands it better than you. This disgusting person? I'm not talking about disgusting or not. I'm saying that he understands it or not. The fact that I don't, it's unpleasant to me, it's a different thing. And I also don't know if I would have been able to speak to him, he would understand me very well. Ultimately, he was pressuring the people of Israel to perform their role. He wrote about it. Look what he's writing.
From where did he have this?
The Creator gave him.
The Creator gave him this knowledge?
Where, of course, where did it come from? Where do you think anti-Semites receive all their brains? From that source. The same source from which you study the wisdom of Kabbalah. Is there any other source? The Jews are a race that has preserved itself in virility and power by the observance of those natural laws, the violation of which has mongrelized so many nations. It's truth.
What did he mean by saying that?
That we are responsible for the state of the whole world. Each state, each nation, and all of them together. We are in charge. It is a race which today is before us as a visible sign. Read it.
It is a race which today is before us as the visible sign of antiquity to which all our spiritual wealth harks back.
Again?
The Jews are a race that has preserved itself in vitality and power by observance of those natural laws, the violation of which has caused so many nations to decay. It is a race which today is before us as the visible sign of antiquity to which all our spiritual wealth harks back.
You see? He feels that he has this dependence, total, absolute dependence in this nation. That's why he hates them. Because he feels that this pipe is closed. What do you want him to do? For him to behave differently? The Creator awakens in this high soul. Don't say it's no one, it's not just a philosopher or ideologist or something. He feels from the other side the role of the people of Israel. It's like you have Balak, Bilam. Look how the Torah is talking about them. Really high souls. Very high souls. So don't just treat him like that. You can hate him, but I'm saying that this is small-mindedness. You need to respect his knowledge and this great illumination that he received in order to understand the matter. I would be happy to meet him in the studio and talk to him for hours. Today, in the Holocaust Memorial Day, we would clarify many things.
You say that Kabbalah is not related to the Jewish nation?
I spoke to many such.
So, such a person who supposedly knows Kabbalah.
He doesn't know Kabbalah. He feels.
So why such a person, the point in the heart doesn't burst out in him?
You ask the Creator. You're asking questions.
It's a practical question. Why such people who know?
I don't want questions for which there are no answers. No answers. I don't have answers. I'm not going to resolve them with the intellect. Forget about it. That's not how you ask. The Creator does his job. He gives certain people, he makes certain people hate the Jews because they function incorrectly. He also gives it to such wise people like Henry Ford. They too convey this correct ideology, the correct one. I didn't look through all his writings. I'm sure he also has just plain hatred, as you, just like you, get filled with emotion. But logically, what he writes is the correct things. It's worthwhile for you in Holocaust Memorial Day to understand what he's writing, because that hasn't changed.
Excerpt number 8, Henry Ford, the International Jew, the main problem of the world. For too long, the Jew used to think of itself as the sole nation of the world. The world has a great demand to stop his uniqueness, to stop the exploitation of the world, and to start implementing the ancient prophecy, because through it all nations on top of the earth will be blessed.
Look what he's writing. All the nations of the world will be blessed through the nation of Israel if they would function correctly. So let them stop being confused and philosophize and walk with their head held high. What is he saying? They should stop thinking of themselves as exclusively the claimant on humanitarianism of society. And they should do the right thing. Be a pipe. You disagree? He's turning to you. He can be your teacher. Read it again.
For too long, the Jew has been too long accustomed to think of himself as the exclusively the claimant of humanity of society. Society has a large claim against him that he sees his exploitation of the world, and to start implementing the ancient prophecy, because through it all the nations on the face of the earth will be blessed.
I don't feel right now, when I'm with the worldwide Bnei Baruch here and all over the world, that you take these worlds to yourselves. Because what it's written with respect to the people of Israel, the Jews, it's us, first of all, because we can realize this role, and the others, I don't know. Henry Ford is turning to us and he says, stop playing with all those humanitarian games, start working and doing what you need to do. Bring the light to the world. Only you can do it, and the world is waiting for it. Do you have anything to say to him? Nothing.
Half of the lesson had this great anger in me. One of them, there were people who knew, even Baal Sulam. It's very hard to understand.
What?
Even when he wrote the Arvut, he said, if it wasn't for Abash or you, I wouldn't understand anything.
But he was given the strength to express himself this way. What can you do about it? He wanted to pour everything out. Look what he did. Less than that, it was not given to him. He asked to lower himself down to the zero state, so he'll be able to explain to each and every person. What do you mean? Rabash used to say he was willing to speak with anyone, with a fly. Simple folk, of course, I'm not even talking about it. With everyone. He wanted to come down. I mean, that's what was given to him.
I absolutely agree. On the one hand, they really wanted to talk and they couldn't talk. No one could listen to them and so on. But that was a part of the lesson which made me very angry. And there was a part where I said to myself, why didn't they take Mein Kampf and such books into the yeshivas and study them as you do now? And then I understood that this is what we're doing today. Let's put all the study of the 10 Sefirot and Zohar aside and start doing this way, and I'm very happy for it. So the question is, how much will it penetrate? Because today there's nothing to be learned.
No, it's enough for me to get from there, just to receive a certain reinforcement, understanding the approach, to learn what's happening on the other side of the nation of the world with respect to that. I don't need to actually study those things. I have to study how to connect to the upper one, how to enter a circle with the friends in an equal way. Once we enter the 10 with the friends, we connect to the upper one. The minute we think about transferring the light to the nations according to our role, because we need to connect to the lower ones, we're in dissemination and a desire, the ability to disseminate and change the world. So that's enough. What will I learn from Mein Kampf? I never touched this book. It can't add anything. Even Henry Ford, I'm not going to study everything he wrote. What is it called? The International Jew. The International Jew, the world's foremost problem. I agree with him that the Jew is the world's foremost problem in the way it is today, and it can also be the opposite. The world's foremost precious person, if he works properly, then everyone will hold him on their shoulders and bring him to Jerusalem.
Those who did study during the Holocaust, and there were people who sat in the fire trying to connect, doing things. I don't know what they did, but they weren't playing kids' games. But still, they did not understand. I'm not trying to complain about what happened, but looking forward, it's very difficult if such a pipeline doesn't open up from above to how to connect. Nothing will happen. They will beat us, they will burn us, but nothing will happen. If the law is to connect, to have a tendency to open something a little bit, then
I understand you. But I don't have words to explain the general system. I also don't know all of it. The way it works. We're in the final stage, the first stage of the correction. Everything that was before us was not correction, but the preparation for correction. The first destruction of the temple, the second, the intermingling, the exile. Only now we're starting the correction, and that's why we can't talk about anything. We have to do what we have to do. And arguments, complaints, I understand you and everyone. I also have them, but they're not coming to my heart and to my mind. I have only one complaint. How will we realize it? The 10 with the Creator inside of it. That's what we need. We need this to happen for the first time. That's what we need.
Terence,
you want to ask?
There is a student who also asked me yesterday the same question, almost like Moshe. He told me, listen, there is. He told me you have the Rav with you. Do you? How come we didn't find at least 10 students in the world and we achieved the end of the correction? So we can finish the correction. And so the point is to say, if Henry Ford is really talking to us, and he's talking to us, we are trying, but it is in the hand of the Creator to finish the work. I'm not searching for excuse. But how here we can add to do our job?
That depends on you. The entire system, the whole method is before us. Everything is before you. I'm very happy to hear that you are awakening this problem. Why not? Why it's not happening? So ask yourselves throughout the entire day, and all of you together, and discuss seriously and demand. You place your hope in me? It's a shame. I told you many times, don't wait for anything from me, except for more explanations and more explanations. Sometimes this kind of an awakening or another, but not more than that. What do you think? That if you will not do anything but come to me, it would help? No, it would not help. Only if you actualize it between you. Maybe there is a flaw in something that I'm giving you, and that is why you cannot reach adhesion. Yes? So go somewhere else. I do what I can. I'm saying it with utmost seriousness. I understand that everyone has his own life and opportunity, and he wants to attain the purpose of life. Please look in other places, just like I heard from Rabash. I'm telling you the same thing. No one owes anything to anyone. Anyone can get up and go in every direction and look for something else. But if you're staying, well, try to realize try to realize it and not just talk about it and wait. That's it. I have nothing to add. Come tomorrow or come in 5 years. If I'm still alive, you'll see the same thing. Same thing. You expect from me for something to change? What kind of foolishness? Who is the one who needs to perform the correction? You or me? The entire correction is according to the request, the correct demand from below. That's it. From the shattering and onwards, the correction is from below. That's why I don't understand how come you even ask me. When will you bring us some candy? Just that's what it sounds like. So let's conclude with that. There's no more questions like that. I'm not taking you anywhere. I'm sitting here and I'm telling you what you need to do. And all the rest, it's up to you to do. If you do it. If not, then no, I can't do it any longer. But I'm doing my job. I explain to everyone as much as possible, in every possible way, to the whole world, as much as I can about the method of correction. That's it.
We are very grateful to have you. And we have no complaint that about that you should give us something. We know that everything has to come from our effort, and the Creator will complete the work. I just said that I received this question from a student outside, and sometimes I receive this question asking that we say that the whole world need to unite, but did us, Nebarur, succeed to unite? That's all. אין תלונות. תודה רבה.
טוב, קדימה. לא, חבר'ה, אני לא...
Okay. Let's go.
Except number 9, Bala Sulam, the nation. Through hard and dreadful labor pains, from amidst the venom of hatred that had struck the nations of the world to liberate us from the face of the earth, the destruction of millions of our brothers, and they are still prepared to continue, the sadistic inclination with them is not satisfied. And the calamity is doubled, for we cannot delude ourselves that all this is but a passing, transitory phenomenon, as with our past experiences in history, that if a nation erupts on us, we find its substitute in another. However, now things are very different. Not only are we attacked on all parts of the land at once, but even the highest nations have locked their doors before us without any sentiment of mercy or compassion.
Let's say like today, if the Americans would disengage from us, that's it, we're done. Who are we? Everyone against us, except for America, who's keeping a thin thread of connection to us. That's it. If that thread is cut, who are we? So, in truth, the whole world. He spoke about it in such a way that, according to what was going on in Europe. Today, it's the whole world, globally, completely. All of United Nations tomorrow will say we are nullifying the state of Israel. We have an agreement for the existence of the state of Israel. We voted on it 7 years ago, and today we vote against. That's it. We annul it. No one can say anything. No one will say anything. That's it. They will submit a plan for the takedown of the state, and that's it. Why are you laughing?
If someone will hear you now, if someone will hear what you're saying now, I'm telling you, I deal with such things. It's very serious, very severe.
What do you mean, severe?
Well, I don't believe it can happen that someone will break this state down, country down.
Hold on. Check the international law. Just like according to those laws, they set up the state of Israel. It's possible that according to those laws, they can do it. And if not, they'll make up such laws that would allow it. Don't worry. Why not? We cause damage to the whole world. So why wouldn't they want to cancel the state of Israel? Just like all the nations have a hatred to the nation of Israel because they cause harm. The same will be towards the state, not just towards a person, but towards the entire state. They can give you plenty of evidence for the problems that this country is creating. Look what's happening in the Middle East and so on. Don't worry. Okay. 10.
10. From light and sun, Nitzavim. The primary defense against calamity is love and unity. When there are love, unity and friendship between one another in Israel, no calamity can befall them, and by that, all the curses and suffering are banished.
Okay, that's a fact. But the state is the opposite.
11. Shem Mishmuel Vayakel. When Israel's unity is restored, Satan will have no place in which to install error and external forces within them. For when they are as one man with one heart, they are as a fortified wall against the forces of evil.
You don't depend on anyone. You're not establishing the bad before you if you function properly. It's not that you have to defend yourself against something. There's no one to defend from, defend against, because there's no enemy. There is no cruel person in the king's palace. Correct the state and you'll see it.
12. Baal HaSulam, the writings of the last generation. The world erroneously considers Nazism as a particular offshoot of Germany. In truth, it is the offshoot of democracy and socialism that were left without religion, manner, and justice. Thus, all the nations are equal in that. There is no hope at all that Nazism will perish with the victory of the Allies. For tomorrow, the Anglo-Saxons will adopt Nazism, since they too live in a world of democracy and Nazism.
That's clear. In each and every nation, Nazism is one of the types of regime that can rise to power without any connection to the people and their degree of development. On the contrary, the more developed they are, there's a greater room for Nazism because they feel it more, they're more sensitive. So they feel how much they suffer because of the Jews. That's it. It's a miracle, but there's many countries that were set up after the World War II, Korea and all those countries around the world. Accordingly, it started to develop and anti-Semitism started to take place.
13. Baal HaSulam, the nation. If the democratic bourgeois government were to be ruined now, a Nazi and fascist regime would promptly rise in its stead.
Please pay attention. We are at a place today where the democratic, liberal, how else to call it, socialist, all those kinds of regimes are about to fall apart. What is Baal HaSulam saying? The next regime will be what? Read it again.
If the democratic government were to be ruined now, a Nazi and fascist regime would promptly rise in its stead.
That's what's before us. It's already happening, you're saying. Okay.
I want to ask about the graduality of our message. There's a message of 100%. Only few can hear and digest.
Of course, we're talking about. It's very difficult for the average ear to listen to. It's clear that we're imbalanced. Yes.
Let's say there's 0 to 100%. How do you know when you give a lecture or when you write to regulate it, to adapt it to the one in front of you so that he will be able to observe it without causing him to resist?
That's a problem. What I'm doing here is I'm doing it here, but somewhere else, accordingly, we have to try. But however it is, if you are telling about all those things, I tried to tell you that I succeeded in Miami, in New York, all sorts of places there. No. It's difficult. It's difficult to grasp all those things all at once because a person has to change his perception of reality somehow. First of all, there is a pyramid. There is Adam Rishon, which is completely round, and then you get a Rosh and a Guf, a head and a body, and the Rosh is part of that circle. Part of Adam Rishon becomes a head, and the rest becomes a Guf, a body, Toch and Sof, and the head dictates, and it's called Yashar Kel, because it's aimed towards bestowal, towards the Creator. That's why it's called this way. And the body is only desires, doesn't function on its own. Only the deficiencies that appear in it, they pressure the head in order for it to work faster, to obligate it to work faster. This concept is difficult. Then also difficult to grasp is that we are that future head, that we are building ourselves as a head, a Rosh, in a 10, in a circle, because the head is a circle, the body is a line, and the head is a circle. What does it mean, circle? We have to connect in an equal way. Equal means each one cancels himself, annuls himself. If I'm not annulling myself to something, it's not equality anymore. Meaning it has to be total annulment to the group. And everyone towards the 10 together. Once you attain it, inside of it there appears the point of the common connection, and in it the Creator. That's it. So to explain those things to someone, for them to grasp it, we are people, we are feeling creatures, desire to receive pleasure. So it appears to us that we understand something with our intellect. We have no understanding in our intellect. The understanding is in the feeling, only in the feeling. It's a computer that's processing. Only a computer processes the data in the logic board. Also, we'll scrutinize it later. It's not really the computer; it's the programmer. But the person who comes must undergo many tests, many discernments, many impressions, positive, negative. Many parameters will have to enter in advance into his heart. When it's in the heart, it's close. When it's in the head, it's not close, it's far away. I don't need to explain to the heart if it's already there. The head, for the head, I require an explanation. That's why there is a language for the head and a language for the heart.
Let's say in the upcoming week, I might encounter a situation with my family and friends, even on the internet. There will be some debate on the topic, and I will feel a strong urge to share what we're talking about here with them.
Why is it uncontrollable?
Sometimes I can testify on myself. You think that they're ready, and you want to throw everything on them and to send them links and video clips. What to do with this urge of mine that takes over me? They're not ready for it, but you think they are, and you want to push your message to them forcefully.
I would talk about the aunt, how is she doing? Those kind of things. Why should I burden them with such things?
I
never discussed Kabbalah with my relatives. If they ask, okay, a little bit, but typically nothing.
Even
The best thing is for them to think that this is a business. I live, I make a living, I teach, I enjoy life, like everyone, like Tzvika.
Dani Dudi, no?
Dani Dudi.
From the beginning of the lesson, I'm trying to think what I can write on the internet today in order to implement what we heard that we have to implement.
At 1:45 today, I already tweeted about it. Everything's translated, you see?
So now what Shai said and what I feel from the beginning of the lesson, I want to know how to implement it onward so that me and my friends will implement our role. Because it's not only us connecting in 10, it's also passing it onward.
Take it from there, and there's enough material for everyone. Digest it.
Now you told Shai, okay, drop it. Don't drop too much of this message on them.
Not too much, but you know the people with whom you correspond. So say it in such a way that they can accept it, that they would accept it, and also a little bit to not accept it,
to sting them.
No, not sting. How do you call it in film? No, not suspense. A little something, something when something doesn't fall into place, it makes a person take notice. If everything just flows, then he has to say, "Oh no, what do you mean? How can it be? I have to receive a certain internal deviation." So measure it. But that's how I need to write it. It's supposed to be 90% clear and 10% not only unclear, but truly evoking resistance. But 90% pleasant, but some 10% resistance. But you can't let go of the 10% because by that the 90% will also lose the taste. So it's like adding pepper, and without it you can't, and with it... Okay, guys.
I'm in contact with people at work and other places. And today's society depicts the people that they have a good life. It encourages them. And I can them that their life is bad. It's not my place. I don't want to tell them. I don't want to expose them to a reality which I think is true. And in their reality, they have no desire or place to hear that they have some flaw in life. I can't close our wisdom on them. They have no place in their heart. So who can we talk to, which is our next degree through which we can awaken more things, because there's no one who wants to receive it the way we can give it to. No one has a place in his heart to receive that wisdom because they have the illusion of having a good life.
Meaning they refuse to come to know the wisdom through the deficiencies.
Yeah, they're not ready to feel that their life is flawed.
But they're willing to accept this wisdom through pleasures, right? Perhaps. So, to add pleasure to their life. Let's say they will learn about the next world, about heaven, how to reach it, how to discover the Creator, meaning the force that exists in nature. There's a hierarchy of forces. So the general force that includes everything. To know about their destiny, all those things that a person, it doesn't hurt to add such bits of knowledge to life. It simply confirms him and when you sit over a beer, you can talk about that as well. You know, beer, some pistachios, chips. No, not soccer. Then, and also such conversations.
Unfortunately, it sounds as if religion pushed this discussion away from the table. When people hear that, they immediately enter a state, well, we heard it already. It never brought anything good to anyone. No one attained the next world. And up front, I feel that there's no way to approach them.
So what's left?
What's left?
All that's left is to correct yourself and be in the hope that if you will be more corrected, you will discover a few more people like that. What can you do? The correction is... It's good that we want to talk to others, to kind of spread the knowledge, but in truth, I don't think so. I don't know in what way it will work. I don't know. It's possible that people will simply start to understand it from within. I hope not through the crisis, not through the disasters, although it's also on the horizon.
14 Baal Sulam de Peace. Egoistic resistance between people, along with international relationship, deteriorate. All these will not cease from the world by any human counsel or tactic, whatever it may be. Our eyes can see how the poor sick is turning over in dreadful, intolerable pains, and humanity has already thrown itself to the external right, as with Germany, or to the extreme left, as with Russia. But not only did they not ease the situation for themselves, they have worsened the malady and agony, and the voices rise up to the sky, as we all know. Thus, they have no other choice but to come to accept His burden in knowledge of the Creator, meaning that they will aim their actions to the will of the Creator and to His purpose, as He has planned for them prior to creation. And when they do that, it is plain to see that with His work, all envy and hatred will be abolished from humanity, as I have shown above. This is because then all members of humanity will unite into one body and one heart, full of the knowledge of the Lord. Thus, world peace and the knowledge of God are one and the same thing.
Clear? Tired. More questions, yeah?
No, Shamir.
Shamir.
Good morning, Rav.
That Barasulam is writing that the end of the correction will be when all the people in the world will be in this work. Does this mean that we as Bnei Baruch have to correct ourselves and use the power of dissemination to the world?
Without? No, of course we need to disseminate, and we disseminate.
The world has to study the wisdom of Kabbalah eventually?
To the extent that everyone belongs to the general system, everyone will know. Some will know because he's being taught, and some will know from experience, from doing it.
My second question is, Rav, that after studying about different governments, democratic, Nazism, fascism, communism, and all people coming to an understanding that it's so corrupted, everything is unbalanced. Right now, is this a sign for an integral society to be built?
לא, ההרגשה על... אתה מדבר על לימוד חברה
Are you
אינטגרלית?
talking about the study of the integral society?
לא, לא, זה כהכרת הרע.
No, that's simply a recognition of evil. But the understanding that the world must be integral, this is something you receive through an illumination from above. When it comes, it gives people an understanding of what should reality be. It should be connected in all of its parts in the form of a circle or a sphere.
No. Cowboy.
Cowboy.
So with everything that's been said, it appears that there's going to be some rather severe calamities that are going to kind of cleanse the face of the earth to a point. Now, we can't go to society and tell them because they're going to look at us and laugh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
למה לדבר על זה?
Why talk about it?
Well, to help people understand the severity and the necessity to unite. But I'm not talking about just
רק בהדרגה.
Only gradually, step by step. What do you mean? How can it be that you'll talk to them about what we're talking about here? You have to prepare them maybe months in advance, maybe years, until they're able to absorb those things in their feeling. The most important thing is the feeling. We are feeling creatures. If what you say, I feel, not understand, I feel, it means that it was received. Then I can bring it out into an emotion and talk about it, and then receive it again and bring it out. The important thing is for it to enter the desire and not be only in words. If it's in words, a person can't really work with it. It's not an operational memory. Just a storehouse.
Exactly. We can't, I mean, I think of and feel America very strong. And America's been proselytized to death. With every religion from every face and system that could possibly be invented.
No.
However, when you talk to Americans about nature, they find a connection. They're willing to hear. They're willing to listen. And this evokes the feeling that you're talking about.
אדוני, סליחה.
Mister, sorry. What is your question?
Why are we not focusing more instead of talking about something that could be easily misconstrued as religion? Why aren't we focusing on talking about Hateva? Something they can wrap their heart around.
אני לא מבין אותו.
I don't get it.
He says that he thinks we should focus our explanation on terms as nature, not creator or spirituality or spiritual attainment.
Don't talk about the creator. It's nature. It's only a matter of definitions of words. The creator in Gematria, nature, Hateva. It's just a matter of vocabulary. Okay. So we'll take a different syntax, not the one of the wisdom of Kabbalah. We can talk in a clean way, only about the laws and scientifically. Please?
דודי, אתה רוצה את משהו?
Did you want something?
טוב, בסדר גמור.
Pasha is asking from Moscow. Many Russians were killed in World War II. What is their connection to the operative law of nature? What role did they not keep?
In the Second World War, many people died. From Japan to America through Russia, I think it's like 20 million or something, I don't know. I don't know. I can't, as the way we are discussing it, I can't tell you now. It's not history. The true reasons. You have to see the form, the pictures. Not that it's forbidden. It's impossible. You have to see the full picture and then see why these parts of the will to receive entered into, what's their participation, that one kills the other. It's a form of connection, of participation. We're not in it, in short. We're not in it enough to see the complete general will to receive, and in it such inclusion of all these opposite desires, opposing desires.
У меня тоже продолжение этого вопроса. Вот сейчас в мире усилилась тенденция русофобия. Да? В Америке враг Россия, во всей Европе тоже враг Россия. Даже больше, чем антисемитизм. И в Украине то же самое. То есть это сейчас даже перебивает.
He says that now in the world you can see that people hate Russians, which escalates or a fear from Russians. It happens in America, everywhere, even in Ukraine.
И как это пересекается с антисемитизмом?
How is it related to anti-Semitism?
I also can't explain it. Again, it's good that you're raising all these questions, and we'll gradually perhaps open up the whole will to receive and what's happening to it from the shattering onward. Until the shattering, it's clear to us because we're learning about it in Tess. From the shattering onwards, it's the worlds of the klipot and the shattered will to receive and how it comes to correction. We don't really know what's happening there. They give it to us, they present it to us as material for work. Connect. And from the connections, you'll understand what's going on. From your actions, you will reveal it. And it's not written in a clear, general way, but it's very interesting, of course. It's a system. How are all those parts interconnect and how they influence one another? And what's happening when you know the system, when you enter it, you can also think and say, maybe something will happen in the near future. You can also understand the inner connections inside the system by which nations and people are connected. What is the motivation of each and everything? What? It's Putin and Trump. The hearts of kings and ministers are in the hands of the Creator. It's not that they do anything. There's nothing in them. Rather, it's the connection between those desires that in such a way and not any other way can come to correction, but come to correction on the condition that there is Israel in the middle. That's why you will see how ultimately, whatever the war or conflict will be in the world, Jews are going to be there, Israel will be there. Especially with Russia. But it's the nature of this nation. There's nothing you can do about it. It feels that everyone's up against her.
вопрос по поводу антисемитизма. Вот того же Генри Форда, его эти, против кого он выступал, они его в итоге и прикрыли. Они ему сказали: закрой рот, или мы тебя просто уничтожим. И так со многими...
Same thing, continue anti-Semitism. Those whom Henry Ford turned against, they silenced him. And it happened in other cases.
The Jews had no interest in it, and the Christians were also not interested in it. He was in the middle, kind of very clearly.
Да, и вот если антисемитов, в принципе, так же само всех прикрывают. Вот эти, которые имеют власть над всем миром, да, они их закрывают.
And also, anti-Semitism is being blocked, shut down. They can do the role, those in high offices, in high places. Is it going to change, or it's going to continue this way?
I hope not. I hope anti-Semites will begin to speak more and more, speak out more and more, and the Jews will understand from their words that there is an inner reason for it, a deeper reason for it. And the Creator is speaking to the Jews in this way through the anti-Semites, so they would carry out their role.
So there are two extreme points. Either they shut him up, or someone like Hitler's comes up and start destroying them.
It could be such ideologists that will talk about their ideology against Kabbalists, and will understand one another, and will begin to scrutinize these things to such an extent that the world will see here what is the truth. Both of them are correct. These talk about it from the will to receive, and these talk about it from the corrupt will to bestow, and they'll scrutinize it. I'm all for talking about it. I wouldn't shut Henry Ford's mouth. The fact that the hatred was really overflowing from his ears, it was clear, but on the other hand, his intellect, his approach to history, to the role of the people of Israel, was extremely logical, correct. Not entirely, but partly, and we have to listen to that part. We must also understand that the world is not interested in neither. I was in Russia once. I had a big argument with a big anti-Semite. It was 50 years ago. And this quarrel reached the police. And they removed him. So I asked later the policeman why. I said, we don't want Zionism to grow among us, because anti-Semites assist the Zionists, and this is correct. That's how it is. Okay, we'll go to the next stage, please.
Moving on to the next part of the lesson, but before we do, let's sing a song together.
הבחירה היא בידיך ואין כאן את מי להאשים אם הוא נסתר עוד מעיניך אז בוא תבחר בחברים כל הניסיונות להתגבר יצליחו רק עם החבר שיכוון אותך אל המקום הטוב אז בוא נבחר בלאהוב הבחירה היא בידיך אפילו אם לא תמיד רואים. אם רק תבחר עכשיו את החבר הטוב, הרי בחרת בחיים. כל הניסיונות להתגבר יצליחו רק עם החבר שיכוון אותך אל המקום הטוב. אז בוא נבחר בלאהוב. לה 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 la 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 כל הניסיונות להתגבר יצליחו רק עם החבר שיכוון אותך אל המקום הטוב. בוא נבחר בלאהוב. אז בוא נבחר בלאהוב. אז בוא נבחר בלאהוב.
השיעור מבוסס על מאמרים מהספר כתבי בעל הסולם. את הספר ניתן להוריד באתר קבלה לעם, kab.co.il.
שלום, אנחנו לומדים בספר כתבי בעל הסולם, עמוד 400.
We're reading from the writings of Baal HaSulam, reading from the article, A Handmaid That Is Heir to Her Mistress. Relevant questions can be asked on Kab.tv. Again, this is the article, A Handmaid That Is Heir to Her Mistress, under the headline, The Internality Are the People of Israel. Once we have clarified the higher roots, we will clarify the branches in this world. Know that a branch that extends from the internality is the people of Israel, which has been chosen as an operator of the general purpose and correction. It contains the preparation required for growing and developing until it moves the nations of the world to achieve the common goal.
פנימיות המה עם ישראל. ואחר שבארנו השורשים העליונים, נבאר...
The internality are the people of Israel. Once we have clarified the higher roots, we will clarify the branches in this world. know that a branch that extends from the internality is the people of Israel, which has been chosen as an operator of the general purpose and correction. It contains the preparation required for growing and developing until it moves the nations of the world to achieve the common goal. That is the role of Israel. We have to do that. They will come and motivate all people to reach the general purpose. Israel means li rosh, the head. They have to be the connector between the upper force and the nations of the world. They have to do the whole work. Even though it's a very small portion, it doesn't matter. Because the work, eventually, is only in the intention. And it's like in a computer or, the microprocessor or the very small portion of our brain that is perhaps the size of a match, but it does the whole difference. So it's a qualitative matter. And so they have to bring all the nations of the world to the general purpose. Questions? This is clear, yeah? Okay, ask.
What preparation is there?
What preparation is there in the people of Israel? Yes?
The point of the heart. They have the point of the heart by which they can develop it and aim their whole desire behind the point in the heart to be directed to the upper force, to be in bestowal, to connect together all of them to a system like a mini Adam Rishon, meaning in Havaya, and through this system bring the upper light to the world. By the upper light, correct them, and by the upper light, fill them.
Meaning the nations of the world, if the people of Israel use their point in the heart, so the nations of the world will appreciate it, accept it, will be ready to hear?
They'll appreciate and receive. This is a thing that, there's, how should we say this? There's the people of Israel, Galgalta and Inaim. There's Achap to the people of Israel. This is their part. And there's the general Achap of the nations of the world. And we need to work with what we have, meaning with the upper part. First of all, we work with the Galgalta and Inaim. We connect the Achab. That's the dissemination within the people of Israel, the corporeal people of Israel. And then what we do is, meaning we have 1, 2, and 3. That's what Baal Sulam explains in the end of the introduction to the book of Zohar. Item 66 and onwards. But it's our obligation to correct ourselves, to correct our preparation towards the nations of the world, to correct the nations of the world. You see? And they have that same preparation where they will be able to develop and grow. How much do they need to grow? Until they will come and drive the nations to also come towards the correction. Yes, sir. Tzvika. What answer didn't you get?
I didn't get an answer about what he says, that you should know that the branch that is extended from the internality is the people of Israel. I see it's a privilege.
I don't see this as a merit. I see this as a commitment.
No, but he said it's a merit. It's a privilege.
When I hear that I'm connected to the upper, I'm like, oh my God, what a big work I have.
True. We are privileged, but we have a great duty.
Right.
And because of this duty, this privilege is very difficult. It's not pleasant for me to start this with you.
I confuse you. Now you're talking in words that...
No, but what is this privilege or merit? We didn't choose it.
You have no privileges.
We have.
You have the merit of the forefathers, where you're written there that you deserve to come and connect to the upper force. But under the condition that you come, a privilege or a merit is considered zachut, purity. You're coarse for the time being, raw, filthy, a thief, a liar, and so on and so forth, filled with many, many deficiencies. You need to clean yourself, purify yourself. Me too, it's everyone. And then you will be pure. Zchut, the privilege, then you will have that. But in order to be zach, to be pure, you have to go through the filth. You have to reveal how dirty you are. So get to know first how much of a criminal you are. The Torah was given to the wicked in order to correct themselves. And then you'll start to correct and you'll be pure. And then by that purity, which rides upon the aviyut, the coarseness of today, then you will be able to come and to connect to the upper force.
I have a question. And I'm sure people are asking, is there the matter of supervision in this whole story, or it just threw us to the dogs?
I don't understand. Who says that we've been thrown?
No, maybe...
He didn't throw us, and he did not throw us. There is a very stringent system, havaya, where each and every detail... Imagine to yourself a body. And in this body, all the systems are connected one to another and another to another. And there's not one cell that's not connected to the whole body. And upon the whole body, everything has one root that sorts all the activities of the body. Let's say here, let's say in the head. I don't want to enter deeper. Let's say it's in the head. A small little thing that's like 1 millimeter. It's governing everything in the whole world, the whole body, and it's arranging everything. How can you say that he left? You don't have a bigger sin or mistake than saying so, or thinking that. Every given moment in life that you think that, I forgot, I did, so... Yes, that's being foolish. It's not you who did, and you didn't forget. It's all the Creator doing it upon you.
That's it. So here I'm asking, is there, you said in the last question...
Now do you want to ask about this and the Holocaust?
No, but even though it's
okay, let's go. Let this go.
Okay, so let's talk about what you said, that they're going to disassemble this country. So why am I laughing? Will there be supervision over the people of Israel?
It's not that there will be, it's there all the time.
It's there?
The providence defines every single moment in the existence of every single detail in reality. Moreover, upon us. So what? Of course it does. So the general decision will be from that providence to cancel the state of Israel. What will you do? Because you deserve to go out now again to exile.
And the country is not such a great thing. I'm not crying about that. But is there a possibility, like you're saying?
Of course there's a possibility. Baal HaSulam writes that we were given the opportunity to build the country, such a country that will be as one system, as one man in one heart. And then it will be able to be as a light for the nations. So all the world will receive an example from it and spiritual education, and they will all connect. All like that. And that's what we received the opportunity for. And he also writes for you, and he continues that. He says that a time can come where everyone will come out to all the places in the world if they get out in time. And the rest who remain will drown in the sea of the Arabs. He writes that for you in, where does he write it? It's in the last generation, but he's writing this scenario, this script for it. He's writing it.
What do you feel today, after today's lesson? What do you personally, Rav Leitman, can tell us, Nebo? What is your feeling? Listen, we have to come encouraged.
You're coming out very successful, huh?
Of course.
I don't want for there to be another Holocaust.
You don't want there to be another Holocaust. God forbid.
What do you mean, God forbid? Are you doing something about it?
I try every morning. I sit in a tent. What are you talking about? We're constantly doing. You're always saying you are not doing what we are doing. The fact we didn't reach it, but you say penny to penny we'll reach a big amount. What are we about to see, according to your feeling? Today is the evening of the Memorial Day, so...
I don't have today, the eve of the day of Holocaust, to tell you that anything depends on anything but you. And I don't know what will happen. I don't know. Because this all depends on you only. You want for it to happen this way? You don't want it to happen another way. Please, it truly all is in your hands.
So we've advanced.
I, in place of the people of Israel, would bring here now, around this building, I don't know, some force that will take care of you.
Well, beat them up. Okay, but we are doing work, so please reveal something to us. What do you see in your heart? Are we advancing?
I hope that within a short period of time we become a pipeline.
So, thank God, we're advancing.
Okay. We're advancing. We're advancing. Next.
The externality are the nations of the world. The branch that extends from externality is the nations of the world. They have not been prepared the qualities that make them worthy of receiving the development of the purpose one at a time. Rather, they are fit to receive the correction at once and to the fullest, according to their higher root. Hence, when they receive dominion from the root, they destroy the virtues in the children of Israel and cause suffering in the world.
Yes.
A slave and a handmaid. The higher roots, called externality, as we have explained above, are generally called handmaid and slave. This aims to show that they do not intend to harm at all, as it may seem in superficial observation. Instead, they serve the internality, like the slave and the handmaid who serve their masters.
Meaning they don't have free choice, they are just as an assistance, as a help to both these forces. The force of reception, the force of bestowal, and there's the slave and handmaid relative to them.
The externality?
There's no questions, yes? Let's continue.
The externality rule when Israel...
Well, ask.
What exactly are the news we have to pass on to the corporeal Israel about their future?
First of all, that it all depends on us. The whole future of the world and our whole future depends on us. There's no fate here, but rather we were given to manage the world. And the fact that we're not managing it, governing it in the right direction, by that we're awakening anti-Semitism, hatred towards us. Yes.
How to cause a person to tell himself that he will really feel that he feels this, these connecting, relating to this, because generally all these things are far from him.
Okay, but if he hears, then later, when they start in some way to curse him, to blame him, maybe even beat him, then it will awaken him to seek an answer.
So we're not?
I'll tell you this on myself, on my own. If I weren't to be told, all kinds of slanderous words when I was a child. Maybe not so much as a child, but when I was already not slanderous, but I felt that I was undesirable at work, especially when I wanted to get along. Other than work, actually, I didn't feel it so much. But the fact that you're not received and not accepted, and not this and not that, and you start kind of like in some way to relate to you that way, that awakens. It awakens the question of why. So they should know in advance. So when they relate to them, and if they relate this way, then they'll know why, because they're not functioning correctly.
So we're not expecting to convince them, look, this is the situation. The corporeal Israel. Reality will come and will cause them to understand this.
The people of Israel, well, we nevertheless need to explain this. We need to explain it. They're trying to close their ears and their eyes and not see and not nothing, and they close themselves within this little measly life they have. I understand that, but it's a protective mechanism that is obligating them to do so. We need to help them come out of this concealment that they're doing upon themselves.
Previously we read about Ma'or v'Shemesh saying that only if we're united our enemies will disappear and we'll have the force to stand against them. And in the people of Israel we do see how much the society is divided and all the problems. People relate to that.
If we, the people of Israel, care for our achap correctly, we learn from that how we can care for the nations of the world in a correct manner. And then everything changes. If we were to know how to approach the people, which is the achap in the rosh, achap of rosh, the achap de rosh. This is the nation, the people. If we were to know how to care for them, then we'll get along. All the rest does not depend so much on the nations of the world. Because the people of Israel, after 2,000 years of exile, received from this achap, it received all the right impression, the shattered impression from them. Therefore, it's almost enough for us to care for our nation here, the nation of Israel, in order to complete the correction in the whole world. It is such a stiff-necked nation that inside of it has all the bad of all of the world, all the aviyut of the whole world.
To talk about something a bit different, when we turn to the people of Israel, will we have to be experts in talking to a certain part of the public?
I am not an expert in dissemination, and this is not the place to scrutinize those things. There are experts in dissemination, not me. Rather, they know the rules that we learn here, but then to detail it to everything, that's already their profession. I don't know. Okay. Yes, Dudi.
If the people of Israel are blocked, how can we open their heart?
That we need to try. We need to do it through something that's not blocked. When you're going to open some blockage, so you look for where the weakness point is, where it's the weakest spot, where maybe there's something, some little hole, and you can just kind of expand it and broaden it so that this blockage will be removed. That's how we need to do it. You need to find what they're interested, what not, what attracts them, what doesn't, what are they afraid of, what do they appreciate. And through this game with them, you can slowly bring your explanation. They want to succeed in something. Show them that success is possible only in the way that we're saying. That all of the success, or to the contrary, and any success depends on how much these things are close or distant from correction. The general correction. We will see this now in practice upon all the things that are occurring here and will occur here amongst us, in Syria and in all the other places. You'll see. Yes.
Rav,
can there be a situation that when we disseminate the role of the people of Israel, but that we fail the public, because instead of not knowing, they become do knowing, but they do know, but they don't do.
That's not important. Not knowing does not resolve you. Here, it does not resolve you from the punishment. You have to do it, and if not, problems come upon you. Well, who was there behind you? No. Go ahead. Well?
What exactly is called?
What does it mean exactly to care for the achab properly? To properly care for the achab? You drew, and you said, if we can properly care for the achab, then we'll be able to properly care for the haguf.
There are two achabs. There's the achab that belongs to the Rosh and the real achab. So according to how we connect to the achab of the Rosh, which is the people of Israel that is blocked, through it, we need to nevertheless, only through it, we can do this. Because most of the corrections that we can do in this achab of the Rosh. And what about the rest of the world? Because we were for 2,000 years integrated with the whole world. Then when we go to care only for Israel and whoever wants or in some way that it associated with spirituality, by that we will also care for the nations of the world.
What exactly needs to occur? What do we need to perform in order to awaken or care for this sleeping part of Israel?
Again? I am not looking for something to happen. That somehow, because of some problems, they will awaken. I want for me to be able to awaken them from the professional, nice, and good way. And not for there to be such problems that they will want to hear anything that maybe that's something that will help them save themselves from death.
So what do we need to perform in order to guide them through this in a nice, pleasant way?
Dissemination? On one hand, towards them. On the other hand, we need, as fast as possible, to organize ourselves to the right tens.
So, as far as dissemination is concerned, sometimes I think about trying to penetrate Israelis, American Jews, it's almost the same in my head. It's like throwing an egg at a wall.
מבחינתי כאילו לנסות לחדור יהודים בארצות הברית או ישראלים, זה די אותו דבר מבחינתי, זה כמו לזרוק ביצה על קיר.
Do we have some control over whether or not they absorb something from us? Or do we first need something to give them?
לא, אני לא רוצה ולא מאחל לאף אחד.
I don't want and I don't wish on anyone more problems than what they have. I want in the place that there is right now, where a person is right now, to bring him a message for a good life and for him to absorb that. That's how it is. That's the approach. The approach needs to be from love and not from me going to prove myself.
People want to hire
Okay.
They don't want love.
אתה לא מספר לי שום דבר חדש.
You're not telling me anything new. It's best if you yourself will search and search and search how to build the 10 like it should be, so you'll have a spiritual force, and how to penetrate towards them with this spiritual force. That's it. That's your role. You already asked. More? More? Well?
I wanted to ask about education. Where can we move towards the educational authorities?
I don't know. I'm not associated with that. I don't know. Give it to your neighbor.
Regarding Achab Derosh and Galgalta Einayim Derosh, are the relationship between them like, can we say it's like a father to son?
Let's say.
So the son has in him the greatness of the father, his ability to listen to him and to accept some knowledge or way. And the problem with us, we see it in the dissemination in the internet with dealing with this Achab, Israel, causes resistance, because when we tell them about their responsibility, they picture it as like anti-Semitism, anti-Israeli, or how can we correctly approach this Achab, and maybe through the integration between us to approach with love.
Don't talk in like closed sentences, but through science, through wisdom, through pictures, through the system. Not that I feel like saying like this, but this is the system of nature. And we are in this system, in this network, and we have to observe it. Otherwise, it'll be bad for us, for all of us. And it's not that I am bringing down upon you something from above, from me, and I want to convince you with something. I have nothing to convince you with. This is the truth. You want to recognize it, be acquainted with it, please. You don't. But I belong to this just like you do. We need very gently, cautiously, to bring things down. No one is against physics or mathematics. You can say it's not interesting to me, but no one's against, because it's laws. That's how we too need to bring this forth. The law. This is the law of nature. Look. And we explain, and as little as possible emotions, feelings. Okay? Please.
Now we'll move on to the daily task. 10 on duty, the daily task.
Благодарим за сильный по духу урок, пробуждающий ответственность.
We're grateful for a very strong spiritual lesson. Today on duty we're Petach Tikva 17, Haifa 1, Santiago, Italy 10 number 1, Ukraine, Zaporozhye, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. A daily task during the day. each one thinks how he can awaken and bring the light closer. By organizing or not being able to organize tens as Israel. In the end of the day, you share your conclusions. Okay, again, during the day you think how you can bring closer the light to the ones who cannot gather in tens like Israel. At the end of the day, you share your own conclusions. Zohar lesson, you're all invited to watch the Zohar lesson tonight at 6 o'clock live with Dr. Rav Leitman on our website. Open Friday, viewers from all over Israel and from the groups in Israel, you're all invited to come join us in Nevatim 12th Street, Petach Tikva, Friday 2:45. Registration 1-700-509-209. Thank you to our TV viewers. Have a good day. We're all as one. The North American Kabbalah Congress, we're inviting you all to come to the World Kabbalah Convention 2018, Newark, New Jersey, May 3rd through 6th. For details, one.kabbalah.info. Let's summarize the lesson quietly in a few sentences. Let's take 2 minutes to do that.
כל חבר מוזמן לשתף את סיכום השיעור שלו.
You're all invited to share with us your summary and Sviva Tova. Let's sing a song together.
האדם שמולי ממש כמוני, האדם שמולי נרגש כמוני, האדם שמולי נושם כמוני, עד שאני יכול להבדיל אותו ממני, עד שאני יכול להבדיל אותו ממני. אל תעשה לחברך מה ששנוא עליך, אל תעשה לחברך מה ששנוא עליך, אל תעשה לחברך מה ששנוא עליך, אל תעשה לחברך מה ששנוא עליך. האדם שמולי רוצה כמוני, האדם שמולי צוחק כמוני, האדם שמולי בוכה כמוני, עד שאיני יכול, עד שאיני יכול להבדיל אותו ממני, עד שאיני יכול, עד שאיני יכול להבדיל אותו ממני. אל תעשה לחברך מה ששנוא